You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV Scandal After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV Scandal After Show.
What they do? They smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place, the backstabbers.
Gladiators, welcome to the Scandal After Show for AFTERBUZZ TV. My voice sounds a little weird because I'm sick, but this is Season 3, Episode 13, No Sun in the Horizon. And, at the end of last week's episode, they said that we were going to have a shocking 30 seconds, and we did. So we're going to get into that, what we thought, and all those good stuff. But as always, I am Emile Ennis Jr., and I'm joined here with 3 other amazing gladiators.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Kennelia.
Hi, I'm Sofia Stanley.
I'm Bamm Ericsen.
So before we dissect this, guys, what did you think of the episode overall? There were some tense moments. For me, I enjoyed it. There were some moments where I rolled my eyes as usual, but remember last week I was saying that it kind of upsets me, and I'm still a little bit upset when you tell me that something's going to come, when you tell me to anticipate it. And like the end of this episode, hashtag who got shot, those type of things bother me because I don't want you to try to hype it up. I just want to experience it and live it. So what did you think, though?
I agree in terms of that I'm not a fan of when they kind of lead us and they tell us what's going to happen. However, overall, I like the episode, and primarily because I feel like everything that I had been upset about kind of came to fruition, in so much as Olivia took ownership over her relationship. Like, I think that she, just like she said, she wants to stop pretending. This is the reality of how it is. Let's treat it as such. And at the end of the day, you mentally, physically, and spiritually don't want to not be with this man, so be with him however that looks like, as well as kind of juxtapose that against Sally. I said all along, I was like, if she's this sanctimonious, then go before the public and confess. So she may not have confessed, but at least that conversation needed to be had. So I feel like I really enjoyed that.
For me, good episode, except for the last moment that they build it up to. And again, I get a lot of slack for this, but it was this big whole week thing of something's gonna happen. Then what happens? And then there's this hashtag, who got shot? That shit to me is like Dallas. I'm sorry. Yeah. It is. It's very soap opera.
Who shot JR? Yeah.
Who shot JR? It's very soap opera-ish.
Yeah, I agree with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, we had basically 2 scandals kind of connected. We had Sally, who's about to confess her sins before God to the whole public because God isn't listening to her anymore. And then we have the Daniel Douglas, Cyrus James situation. Let's start with Sally because Sally's on another one. We're dealing with this debate prep, and the things that were coming out of her mouth during the debate prep, you would think that she was freaking God herself condemning Fitz to hell. So we see that Leo Bergen brings in Reverend Dale to try to help Sally get back on track. What do you guys think about like the way Sally's character is going? Do you think it's a little unrealistic, or is it fall in line with the way her character is? We've always known the character, or?
I don't know if it's realistic because we don't know what it's like to be put in that situation, to be so deep in our faith and our spirituality, and then to kill your husband, cover it up, and be tasked to lie about it in order to get something that you want. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, it seems like if that happened in real life, you probably will snap and start to go crazy. So I'm going to say that it's probably along the realistic side. Because, I mean, if I kill somebody and had, you know what I mean? Like, that just eats away at you. And she, being so spiritual, and she said God didn't talk to her at all anymore. Like, she is on a whole nother level. Sally is on a whole nother level of cuckoo.
She is obviously on a whole level of cuckoo, but just going off of her character, She was always one of those over-religious type people who like to throw rocks and hide her hand, obviously. And so even when she was having the problems and having the conviction and doing other things, there were still a lot of things that she was doing, like when she assaulted Liv and said, I forgot what she said, but basically
you're not a woman of God. I don't condemn you for that.
Yeah, basically she said she wasn't saved. And so
And she called her the devil at my doorstep.
Yeah, she called her the devil at her doorstep. So it was, go ahead.
No. The only thing is, and we can go back to it, the devil at the doorstep could have two meanings, and it doesn't necessarily mean that she's calling her the devil. It's that she's coming to convince her not to confess.
Right.
And that in of itself is the devil trying to tempt her not to do what she was supposed to do. Not that Liv theoretically is the devil.
Yeah.
You can argue, but yeah.
No, good point. I just what I was saying is that Sally, it was I think it goes along with her character as to what she did and the conviction that she's going through. And then although she was having very like tick tick boom type moments, she was still true to herself in some ways. It's just that now she has all these things going through her mind. She lost it, and it's been a buildup.
Now, I agree with what everyone's saying, but I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'd actually argue, is she going crazy? So let me just, and I'm going to try to do this quickly, right? There have obviously been moments in time, and I'm not really trying to have a strictly religious conversation, but there are moments in time where things have literally, let's say, been said to be religious, and later on, whether or not it's 100 or 200 years later, we find out that it's true and that there is some reason, right? That to a certain extent, religion is just religion or magic before science can potentially catch up. It doesn't take away from any of the religious aspect of it or whether or not it is or is not God. Now, let's say God really talks to her. No, but seriously, in whichever way that means to her, she has completely 100% devoted her life to God, right? She, in the moment that she killed her husband, really thought that she was doing God's work, right? In the same way that soldiers, whether or not are God or of a country, feel like that they are valid in doing so. Arguably Vietnam, right?
Right.
Oh, okay. Sorry, our phones are causing static with the mic, so they're telling us to move our phones, or we're going to see if we can turn them off. Just got my train messed up. Okay. So, for instance, let's take Vietnam, right? Obviously, there were some people who thought that we were wrong and some people thought we were right, right? Now, I legitimately think that Sally has always been true to who she is. So, if that voice in her head, whatever it was, has stopped talking to her, does that necessarily make her crazy? Because she's actually, on some levels, doing the right thing, right? So are we the ones who are crazy because we're all like, oh no, if we can kind of get away with murder, is that technically the same thing to do? Or is the same thing to confess because you've done a bad thing and be civilized in pursuit of the Republic, and however you're going to be judged, you're judged? That's the first part. The second part is, when she was talking to Olivia, that for me was the first time I actually felt sorry for her. Like, the way that she really was like, he's not speaking to me. Like, he's always spoken to me. And I feel like, at first, the way that she kind of threw shade on Olivia and said, you don't know God, I don't condemn you for it. I actually didn't take it as throwing shade. I really took it as, she's like, you don't know. Like, you don't know what it is. Like, you don't know what it is to walk with him in a way that it directs every aspect of who you are. And if he's not with me, then I would, in fact, rather be dead. But I think that there was actually a sense of clarity. So I don't know. Like, and I know I'm the first one who's been calling her crazy since day one. But there's a little part of me that felt like she was actually the most clear she's ever been. The most true to herself. She actually didn't have a filter on, and when she was prepping for the debate, that was pure Sally without her having to be actually the vice president and fit into the box that we need her to fit into. And I think that there was a certain aspect of what she was saying in terms of, if her faith is gone, then she'd rather be dead. I actually felt sorry for her, and I didn't find it an actual crazy moment. I actually felt it was the exact opposite, and it was more a moment of clarity than it was of insanity.
For me, what for me when I say the whole crazy tick tick boom, okay, yeah, she has this conviction and she says that that God's not talking to her. But what the conflict for me is, for someone to be as religious as she is, again, like I said, she throws rocks and hide her hands. For someone to be as religious as she is, for her to walk in her faith and for her to do the things that she believes by, she doesn't walk those same lines. Her mouth says one thing, but she totally says something different. The things that she say to people, her behavior, even before this whole thing was going about, her mouth says that she's religious, but her actions, for me, does not do the same.
Well, that's why I think the struggle is, though, and that's why we have this issue, because she is talking all this stuff, and that's why when I was watching the episode, it's funny that you said that. When I was watching the episode, and she was saying all the things, talking about the moral issues with Fitz, a lot of things she was saying is almost as if she was talking about herself, and it was almost as if she was saying that as a way, not a way to confess, but as a way to kind of alleviate the pressure and the situation she's dealing with, because she's having Leo Berg and all these people saying, you have to get up there and you have to be this wholesome woman, you have to stay in character, and she knows in the back of her mind, my daughter had an abortion, I murdered my husband, all these different things, and yet it's this constant battle with her. So in a way, I'm kind of with all of you. I don't feel like she's crazy. A little bit, but not really. I feel like she's doing what she feels she has to do, because let's think about it this way. She's just sitting there, like we saw her last episode, just sitting there rocking, like not being able to pay attention. If she's even put into office, she would snap in a moment's notice. So what else is she supposed to do besides confess to the Reverend and then confess to the world? Because in her mind, she's living a lie.
Well, my issue with Sally isn't even necessarily that, she's living a lie and these things, are piling up on her. Sally, take this situation out with her and the whole Daniel Douglas murder. Sally wasn't a nice woman. She wasn't a nice lady. Like, for real, she wasn't nice. And it's one thing for you to not be nice and you to, have an attitude, but it's another thing for you to be a spiritual person, but then to cut people down using your spirituality. Sally was the person who, if she felt a certain way about you, she probably would, like the whole comment with Olivia. In this case, I think she really was like, well, you're a godless woman, saying it like, like you really don't know him, like Sofia was saying. But in another case, she would have used the Bible to slice you up across your face, to hurt you. So it's one thing for you to be, to walk in faith and to feel like God is speaking to you. But when he's speaking to you, is he telling you to be nasty with Bible scriptures? Because I'm pretty sure he ain't, Sally. Mm-mm. So
you better preach.
Is she... she may not be crazy, but she got some crazy in her, and that lady is mean. The lady is mean.
Yeah, but for me, the crazy in her is all the buildup and the secrets that she's kept inside. That's what's tearing her up, and that's what's causing her to have these kind of crazy moments. When I say crazy, I don't think she's in a straitjacket. Just in her mind, it's like her mind's ready to explode.
True, but that's why I think Emile's point was spot on, in so much as she was in essence confessing when she was about to kind of go in on Fitz, and basically when she was talking about the lack of morality. In a subtle way, she was actually confessing, and by confessing, she then released, quote unquote, the demons, or she released the secret, and then was able to actually get her composure back. Do you know what I mean? And in a weird way, like, Fitz literally saved her. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because he basically had in that moment where I think what he did was he slapped her in the face with reality. Meaning, you confess, you go to jail, and I'll probably still win. So,
now,
go ahead,
the funny
Emile.
thing was with... And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was a lot of different layers on this episode. And throughout the episode, Olivia was talking about coming to the light and being in the sun, all these things. And that's why I thought during the scene with Sally and Olivia, it was funny how she says, you don't understand when the light of God shines on you. And you saw Olivia's face, she was kind of like, oh, I don't know. I'm in the dark. Like, what do I do? Like, my life is a shithole right now, essentially. But we have this debate prep early in the episode with Sally. Then we had the debate prep with Fitz, and he was doing a great job. And then we had that eye contact with Melly and Andrew, where they tried to sneak in there right quick. But then, what's up?
Can I just say real quick?
What's up?
Am I the only one? There was a moment that I wanted Melly to demolish Fitz. Like, I wanted her to step out of Sally Langston character and to actually be Melly and respond as Melly, to show for that split second that she could have been president. That's all.
I felt that too. And at first, I thought it was coming for a second there. It felt like it was coming, but then she just backed away.
And did googly eyes.
Right. But then we see that Olivia wasn't there. We find out that she's actually with Huck and some of her OPA associates and David Rosen getting briefed on what really happened to Daniel Douglas. And this is the whole other scandal that we have going on in the background, which we're going to get into. But before we do that, let's go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll dive right into the Daniel Douglas drama.
Tuesdays on Oxygen.
I'm Maria Menounos, and my life can get a little crazy. I host Extra. I'm an actor, producer, dancer, wrestler, and a lot of other things. I live with Kevin, my boyfriend of 15 years. Do you really love me?
I would say that I'm in serious like.
And my parents. Yep, I just said I live with my parents.
You drive me crazy.
You drive me crazy. My parents want us to get married.
You both love each other. Get married.
Kevin and I don't. I am going to get married when I want to get married. I think I want kids. Kevin definitely doesn't want them now.
This is being pushed on to us.
And of course, my parents wanted them yesterday.
This year, you gotta have it.
And I have a house full of people counting on me financially. If I take my eye off the ball, everything can fall apart.
It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or wants us to do. It's what we want to do.
Everyone thinks that they know what's best for me, but I'm really the only one. I have got to figure things out.
Chasing Maria Menounos is so new. Every Tuesday at 10, 9 Central, starting March 18th, only on Oxygen.
All right, guys, make sure you check that out. That's our boss, Maria Menounos, and her new reality show on Oxygen. But we want to get back to Daniel Douglas right now. So we have this whole scandal, and Olivia's shocked and surprised that Cyrus is behind helping cover up this whole thing with Daniel Douglas. And then we see this whole motion go down, and pretty much it's dramatic from that point onwards. The whole episode is just dealing with the whole Daniel Douglas thing, and I want to know what you guys feel about the dynamic between Cyrus and Olivia, because this felt very much like season 2 with the whole Defiant scandal, when he always drags her in, he always drags her back into the dark, as she says, and it bothered me a little bit when she's trying to at least change and say we want to run clean, and she, the scene where she's laughing hysterically, I have to say we were all laughing too, and that's the first time that I think we've ever seen Olivia truly laugh that hard. She's laughed a couple of times with Fitz, but like it was making me happy seeing Liv that happy.
It was contagious. I mean, it was like a giggle fest. It was totally contagious. But I liked how she went from laughing to basically like, really?
Right.
For me, I wrote in my notes when Cyrus was trying to lay the drama on Liv. For me, Cyrus sounds like an abusive person or someone who's on drugs, where he's basically pleading, please, you got to do this because, after this, I'm never going to do this again. And for me, he sound like Ike, or he sound like someone who's on drugs, where he's like, come on, I'm just going to hit this one last time, and I promise I'm going to stop. And for me, he sound like a buster.
That's very true. He does that with so many relationships in his life. Yeah. This is the last time I'm going to do this, and then I'll keep. But yeah,
it's a great analogy.
Yeah, definitely. I think that with this whole Liv and Cyrus thing, I like that Liv tried to separate herself from the situation, but I don't know how she expects to truly get away from the situation, knowing the relationship she has.
Well, she can't, which is why she had the conversation with Fitz, where she came to terms where she can't let this go. This is her world.
Okay, we're going to go all over the place with this whole situation then, because Olivia, I got bothered because we have Olivia struggling. She's truly struggling in this episode. We have her where she's dealing with, she wants this normal life. And so she's talking to Jake, and she wants him to be her fake boyfriend, which he is. And she wants to drink wine with him and have hamburgers and fries and talk about Acme Limited as if it's the paper company and just not talk about the real issues. So he dealt with that the first time. And then he says, if you keep drinking wine, I'm going to take advantage of you. And she says, no, you're not. And then she says, take advantage of me, Jake. So she sleeps with him. And then later on, she's back to Fitz. I don't like the back and forth. And that's just...
I have a problem with Liv always speaking to people in a manner where she thinks she's everyone's mom. Like the way she came at Jake in that same scene, she's yelling at him, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk. She needs to slow her roll down.
Oh, I actually didn't take it that way. I really took it that, there's a difference when you're like yelling at someone versus you're actually yelling at yourself. I thought she was more yelling at herself. Like, she's like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I don't want to talk about it. Like it was more like she was having a conversation with herself. It just happened that he's there because she's like, yes, I'm not okay. Like, I just can't tell you because I can't possibly actually bring someone else into the darkness again. And she's just kind of trying to hold it together. Like, if anyone is actually, quote unquote, snapping or snapped or kind of crazy, it's Liv. And I think that Liv and I'm going to jump on your addict analogy. I think that almost, I mean, she literally and figuratively drinks to get to normal. Like, she's not drinking to relax. She's not drinking for enjoyment. She's drinking to get to normal. And so I think that's what she's trying to do. She's really trying to yell, like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is my life. And I don't really think she's talking to him. And I think that's why, ironically, when he said, oh, if you keep drinking, I'm going to take advantage of you, the way that she said, no, you're not. Like, that was normal. That, to me, wasn't yelling. That was like, they're actually in a relationship. Whether or not it's pretend or not pretend, they're in a legitimate relationship. And for me, I actually felt it was more real than it ever has been. It didn't feel forced. It felt like a normal couple having a normal conversation when you don't want to talk about your day, and your boyfriend, pretend or not, feels legitimately so like it's his job to make you feel better.
And he does a great job. No matter, Liv can be on 10, she could be on 1, or she can be on 5. He always has the right words, the right words, or the right
remedy,
just anything to make her feel better at whatever level she's at.
You know, well, my thing is more not even that the way she came at him or, you know, on her stance. My thing is that Jake and Fitz both come to Olivia with this I want you to save me mentality. That's my thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you see everything that's happened. Both of them have seen everything that she's been involved in. You see that her mom came back. Her dad was head of command. She's on the rocks. She's gulping down this wine in your kitchen. And now Jake, after Fitz said it, I think last season or some point, whenever he said it, save me. Now Jake, save me, Liv. What's she going to do?
But
like, what is she going to do?
No,
go ahead. No, you go with me.
First, I promise.
Okay, this is the thing is, though, and I don't know what this theory is called, but you know when it's like you're continually working things out in your life, and again, Liv is a fixer. Why? Because her life needed to be fixed. So she has literally set herself up as the fixer. What happens then? That's exactly what you attract into your life. You attract associates that need to be fixed. You attract men in your life that need to be fixed, because arguably Jake and Fitz are very similar. It could have gone either way. Do you know what I mean? If not for the fact that Fitz had the quote-unquote legacy of politicians in his background, they could have switched roles and Jake could be the president and Fitz could be the head of B613. So I think that it's more a sign of Olivia and not so much as them, because that's who she presents herself to be, as well as the fact that she really never breaks down. Like, I was watching a reality show the other day, and this is going to be maybe very not kosher. Some people might not like this, but the dad said to the daughter was complaining that she doesn't have a man, and she's like, oh, you know, I think I'm a good woman. And her dad said, well, sometimes you need to drop the handkerchief. I think Liv never drops the handkerchief. Ever. And when she drops it, she picks it up so quick and is running with it and figuring out a plan and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And ironically, whenever anyone's given her a chance to say what she wants, to say what she needs to be fixed, she never says. She always deflects. So at the end of the day, there's only so many times that you can say, I want to save you, right? And that was quote unquote the whole, you need to earn me, right? The earning, Fitz was in essence saving her. That's what she needed. She needed to feel like she was worthy. She needed to feel like she wasn't the mistress, that she was always the number one choice, and she didn't take it. So I think it's really her leading this cycle.
And do you think, because you mentioned how now Jake wants her to save him, do you think that it was in character for him, or is that like, because you find it kind of weird, like all of a sudden to say, come save me, Olivia, from me being command? Or
I didn't, because they were having a comparison or really come to the realization that both of them were in a place where they're not used to being, or maybe they just don't want to be, or didn't imagine that they will be. And even more so for Olivia just, she, you know, had the issue with the election last time, and she, you know, she fixes stuff. But Jake, he is beat 613, like he's the head. Stuff that he's going to be doing, he probably never imagined that he would be doing this stuff. So I think he really was coming from a place like, let's just run away together. But again, what y'all gonna do together?
They can go to Montana.
But he said, and that's why I think it was important that he was like playing the role for a second, and she looked at him kind of like, what are you doing? When he was like, oh yeah, I sold 15,000 reams of paper. He was like, yeah, because, you know, normal is kind of boring. And what? Normal's overrated. So I think it's showing that they had the option. Do you know what I mean? And I think that goes back to, when Liv basically, tells the president what's going on after the debate, and he basically is looking for some kind of like, apology or something. And she basically is like, no, I'm not going to apologize. Like, this is our life. Like, I think she recognized that she never has wanted normal, or else she would have a normal life. It's not like she's not an intelligent human being. If she wanted to live in Vermont, she would live in Vermont.
Right.
She doesn't. She obviously is a fixer, and chaos somehow keeps surrounding her, because obviously there has to be an aspect of it that she likes. And I think going back to the original scene with Cyrus, I think that's why she was laughing hysterically, because she was laughing because she was like, they're all murderers. She like had that realization that no matter who wins, Reston murdered his wife's lover, Sally murdered her husband, and Fitz murdered the judge. Like, she's like, oh my God, this is my life. She's like, so even if I don't do anything, a murderer still wins. If I do something, a different murderer wins. Like, it. So I think that it's really her finally realizing that normal is truly overrated, but now she's choosing it. She's not just letting it happen to her. She's taking accountability for this is her life. And arguably your life is what you want it to be. And this is obviously in some conscious or unconscious manner, this is her life. This is what she wants.
So when Jake came over with the Chinese food the second time in the episode, he came over with the Chinese food trying to be a good fake boyfriend and really be there for her. And we saw what happened and went down in that scene. Do you think that Olivia is now over?
I think considering the fact that now Quinn is working for him after he was keeping her safe because of Olivia, I think they're over for now, because we had a night together. I opened up to you. We did it. We didn't eat the burgers. We had a moment, and he, coming from the perspective of Jake, they had a moment. You know what I mean? Like, and to him, he's doing all this stuff for her. He's around. He's being there, the shoulder to cry on. Fitz has a wife, so. One night you think this is what it's gonna be. You like, okay, we're finally getting somewhere. The next day you come over with Chinese food. Hey, I got some Chinese food, and then then it's back to everything I do is for Fitz first, and then you can come trailing behind. I think it's over for now, because that's kind of wrong. It's misleading. That's leading someone on.
And I think the timing of it, in terms of the fact of Quinn saying like you don't know Olivia at all,
Right.
it was the timing was just perfect. And I also think. Now he was at a crossroads, and now he's like, I have to fully commit. Like, B613 is now my life. Before, he had some semblance of normalcy in a weird way, because probably Olivia is probably the only woman in the world that potentially could understand what he's going through, because it's the only woman he could even tell that he's command, because she already knows. The fact that she's kind of like, okay, no, yep, back on the Fitz train. Now he's like, okay, now basically I'm married to B613. And in order to do that, I have to literally and figuratively kind of like dead our relationship. However, he will come back, but if he comes back, it will be sneaky. Like, now it will be the original Jake who was spying on her, who was slimy and not cool.
And then do you guys think, as far as, because I was really happy with the way Olivia and Fitz interacted in that final scene. And it reminded me, I can't remember what season, if it was season 1 or season 2, but the way Fitz was acting reminded me back of that childish Fitz who's pouting because he didn't get his way and he didn't want to do this. And then there was a episode where Cyrus was saying, you don't see the behind the scenes, like the dirty work that we have to do. And it was nice for Olivia to finally get out there and say that to him, because I feel like a lot of times he wants Olivia to be that fixer, but he doesn't want to know exactly what she's doing behind the scenes to make that work.
Well, even the phone conversation when she called him and told him all the rundown of what happened and what she needed him to do, that was actually important as well.
You know what? And Fitz seems to have forgotten. Fitz, you killed somebody too. Like the sheet ain't clean on your side as well. I get it was a fit of rage, and and it's a whole different
you had
situation.
Just been shot.
And you just been shot in the head, and she told you that she was the one who had you shot in the head. I get it.
And I'm gonna be.
Fitz needs to pipe down.
And I'm gonna be a little bit of a smart ass for a minute. And I mean, that is kind of treasonous, and he is the president, so doesn't he have the authority to kill her?
Right.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But what if?
I know. Sorry, I had to be a little nerd there just for a second. Sorry.
I don't know, but there was just so much going on in this episode, and it was just nice to see see some things finally come out. But I think what I really like is because we all love Rowan, even though he wasn't in the episode this long. But even his tiny scene with Leo in the limo and him talking about how Sally has to get in the office. I just want to see what he's up to, though. That's what I'm waiting for, because Rowan obviously is going to... What's up?
But this is my only problem I like Joe Morton, like I live and breathe for him. I don't care if he's on screen just for 10 seconds. However, you want Sally? Sally to be the president of the United States of America? I just don't know how that works. So how are you going to control her? Or is it that you're not going to because B613 needs to be like in the shadows and the president needs to be unaware? But is that really the best thing for the Republic? I don't know. That's my only issue with it, because ironically, Reston actually totally would be the better choice, because who like the country loves an underdog, because he's basically like Reston is a known unknown, right? Well, perfect, because now you come in and I don't know. I'm still working it out. But
I think with Sally. I think him getting Sally there is not about really Sally and her credentials. I think it's just Fitz and Jake are boys, and as long as Fitz is around, Jake is going to be around. And when Fitz leaves, Jake leaves, and then he might Rowan will get to come back. And with Reston, he's new people in Washington. They have all these ideas and they want to change things and they want to have a fresh start. And they're like, with me, it's going to be different this time.
That's true.
And then when they get there, it's the same old hoopla, and they really don't know what you know what I mean? They find out that it's the same thing. So it seemed like to Sally, maybe he thinks she's the easiest chess piece to move.
Okay.
For me, it goes back to the conversation with the you a boy. It's more so that he wants Fitz's ass out. And so by any means necessary, now he's going to jump over to the other side to ensure that Fitz is gone.
The only thing about that I don't like is it takes away a little bit of his power. Even though I've been saying I want him to get revenge, I want him to be very strategic about it. And it seems like he's getting a little bit messy, because it seems as if he's letting the emotion of this boy or these two boys make it's allowing his anger to influence things. So that's why now he's threatening Leo, and he's like, oh, I'm going to fire you. And he's like, but I don't work for you. And he's like, oh, it's a euphemism. And then at the end, he's like, so if Sally doesn't win, I'll fire you.
Right.
Like, so you're sitting here and you're like, oh, so you're going to kill me? Like, dude, like, get over yourself. And I don't mean it to sound flip or condescending, but at the end of the day, these are all Washington, D.C. insiders. So there was a part of me that I wanted Leo to almost say, like, yo, dude, you don't think I get threatened on a daily basis? Like, get over yourself. Like, I'm literally running the campaign of the current vice president who is running against the president of the United States of America and hasn't resigned. Like, I'm afraid of you.
For me, the whole conversation and the connection with them two even in the car having a conversation seems a little far-fetched.
Yeah. I agree. Sophia, you talked about things getting messy, so let's talk about B613, because we talked about the messiness at the end of this episode, which we will end with. But before we even get into that, we have a lot to talk about B613, because we have Cyrus, James, and this whole Daniel Douglas situation still, but that's really connected with B613 in the way that Cyrus is trying to figure out how he's going to deal with this situation now that it could possibly be leaked, since Sally's talking about confessing. So Cyrus is trying to go to Charlie, and Charlie says that he can't do it anymore because he doesn't freelance. So then Cyrus is going off a deep end. But I want to talk about that conversation that Cyrus had with Jake, because Cyrus came to Jake, and I love Cyrus's monologues. But he was out of line in this particular scene. And I can't remember which one of y'all said it, but you said that he would never talk to
he would
Rowan
never
like
talk
that.
to Rowan that way.
And Jake
Never.
is in command now, and the way that Cyrus is speaking to Jake was just completely out of line. And when Jake said, Cyrus, you're a mouse, as he's walking away, Cyrus's face, his reaction.
But it's not out of line, because Cyrus is a bully. He's a punk. He likes to, if he thinks he has an advantage over you, he will put his hand all in your face and do all this because he know that he can. And he obviously forgot who Jake was.
Well said.
I think that with the whole Cyrus situation, though, as it progressed throughout the episode, and we've seen this downward spiral of Cyrus over this season, so we were all thinking, at least I was thinking, that Cyrus was going to be the one to possibly and I guess life be ended this episode, but we still don't know who it is. But this whole B613, I want to know, and I was waiting to talk with you guys about this. At the beginning of the episode, we see this close-up shot of Jake talking about, how B613 is your family, you don't have any other personal life, all these different things. And you guys were saying that or some of you were saying that maybe he was talking to himself, but I'm thinking that maybe he was talking to either James or David, since those are people in the final scene that he shot. Because wouldn't it make sense if he shot one of them? Because I know, Kennelia, you were saying that why would he shoot one of them if the other person's standing right there to see?
To me, that made no sense. Only thing, just even logistically, I don't know if I think he was talking to either James or Cyrus, because he changed out of a completely different outfit. If you really, for real, he had on a peacoat and a black sweater to his murder outfit, and then he had the suit on in his monologue thing. So I don't know if he did a Clark Kent quick change, but I don't know.
For me, for David or James to be a part of B613, it's stupid. I can't see it. James has, for the past 2 weeks, James couldn't even handle being Publius. He couldn't even handle all of the darkness that came with that. So James cannot handle being part of B16 whatever. And then as far as David is concerned, there's something about David where when no matter how things get, his morals always comes back to him. And so I can't see neither one of them. But if I had to pick between the two, I would hands down say that it was David. That would be B613.
I actually can't wrap my brain around this at all, so I can't even surmise who he's talking to. But I feel like the entire shooting is messy.
Yeah.
Because your command... And maybe I watch way too many mobster movies, but isn't the whole idea of something like command that you have so many tiers that no one ever has access to command? So the fact that Quinn is even talking to Jake, problem. No, seriously. You shouldn't even know who I am, because think about it. Think about the difference of the first time we saw Huck interact with Rowan.
True.
That literally, I was scared. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The way he saw him, it's almost like Huck had a chip implanted in his head, and Rowan just by blinking turned it on, and a little electric shock dropped Huck to his knees. That's what it was like. Quinn is just popping off, talking back what, I'm supposed to pay my dues? I've already done... Excuse me?
Right.
And I know this isn't this type of a show, and again, take this in so much as they're quote-unquote spies. Jake should just slapped her.
Or if that was Rowan, she would be in the hole.
She wouldn't even have been able to talk to Rowan. That's the thing. Remember when Huck was recruited, there was Charlie and some other guy.
Right.
It wasn't Rowan.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Jake is walking through the lobby, first of all, there ain't no back entrance. Why are you even walking through the lobby? You're the head of command. You're supposed to have a back entrance, a little secret little prop door, something. He's like a baby command. Remember, was it a baby journalist that Cyrus called James?
Mm-hmm.
Jake is baby command, and he needs to, start crawling and walking and getting his footing.
It's only been technically 4 or 5 weeks, because they did say that Sally's been on something like she's been on a downward spiral for 3 weeks. So totally, in total, 4 to 5 weeks that he's been there. Obviously, he's still trying to get his feet wet.
I would buy that if he didn't come from a military background. Because, again, even in terms of military, you have a chain of command. And part of the reason, and I'm just, again, I watch too much TV, and I know a couple of military people, but it's really from TV. But when you're in boot camp, that's why you drop and you know what I mean? You have to do push-ups. You have to do things. If you don't follow orders, I'm going to show you why you follow orders. Why? Because at the end of the day, when we're in the battlefield, we don't have time for you to go, why? I'm not sure if I want to do that. Well, why are you asking me that? Well, I just feel like, no. When I say shoot, you shoot. Do you know what I mean? When I say run, you run. That's how you have to train your operatives. So even though it seems cruel, and when we realized that Huck had a family, and that obviously he had to leave his family, and that Huck had been in the hole, and that when, Huck was in the crate in the storage unit, the way it demolished him, that he's now in a corner, there's a certain aspect of that you may not agree with, and I'm not saying I agree with, but you understand the intellectual brain screwing that has to go on in order to make sure that someone is 100% in line with what you have to do, so that the minute I say it, you do it. I feel like Jake knows that, even if it's only from a military perspective. He's not doing that. Like, he literally is acting like this is a normal job and I don't want to get in trouble with HR, so I'm letting her have her moment. Like, clip her quick.
I do agree with that, but I also think Quinn is on this kick where she's going to do and say whatever the hell she wants until she suffers consequences. So therefore, I do believe if it was Rowan, she would say the same thing. It's not.
No, I don't think so.
I do. I'm sorry. I do. At this point, I do, because she has a newborn soul.
I wouldn't say that though, because remember there was the scene where she had to go in to talk to Rowan and try to inject him with whatever, and she looked scared. She wouldn't do that with Rowan.
She wasn't kicked out of. I mean, she's gone through a lot since then. So I'm just saying.
But also, can I say something?
She would.
But the difference is, I'm not disagreeing with you, Bamm. But the difference is, Rowan would have threw her in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Or
so
he would just killed her.
Right. And so the fact of the matter is, so Jake shoots 2 people. Not in broad daylight, but pretty much in broad daylight.
Was on
Prospect Street.
Right? And then he pauses. Why are you pausing?
Right.
There's no reason for me to pause. That's
You have
number
backup
one.
to clean up the bodies?
Number 2, you shoot the other 2 people first.
Right.
No, let's be real. Do you know what I mean? Your problem, because the other 2 people don't know anything yet. Right? You shoot the 2 people who know something first, because you have no idea if, in fact, Cyrus or whomever has called someone else that you don't know that one of your other agents or some other. I don't know. It's messy.
It's extremely messy. And then why shot in the head? Like, why couldn't we do something more discreet? Like, it's just a lot of issues that I'm seeing. We'll get a lot of answers next week. But also, I'm still not set that everything's okay with Cyrus, because the way they kind of just cut straight
Very
from,
well said.
and that's why, and maybe I don't know if I should say. I'll just say that for predictions. I don't know. I'm saving that for predictions because I never have good predictions, so I'll save that.
Yeah.
I do like.
Right.
I like the subtle things that we saw in this episode with the whole hearing thing. You know, there's this app that kids like to do in school, where they do the little sound, and they do it just to annoy teachers, because the older that you get, there's this little sound thing that you can't hear. And so in school, in high school, kids will do the app and they will make the buzzing noise to see if the teacher can hear or not, because the kids can't. And I like the fact that they threw in the fact that there was this buzzing noise that has been going on for all this time, and Cyrus couldn't hear because he's old.
Right.
Or maybe not. Maybe Cyrus got a lot on his plate. You know what I mean? Like, this whole time he's been trying to cover this up. He's been trying to get Fitz back on the map. He's been trying to, figure out with the vice president situation.
He's old.
Maybe on top of him being old, maybe it's just sometimes you don't have time to stop and listen to the noise.
Right.
You can't really. You're not paying attention. You can't focus on it until somebody says, "Hey, you don't hear that noise," and then you stop. You quiet down, and then you listen. So maybe it's not even about him being old. I'm just trying to stick up for the older crowd.
No, but that's actually a great point. I think this is a great point.
The final thing, what did you guys think about Tom? Because there were I read a lot of the comments and blogs last week, and some people were saying, oh no, I think that Fitz placed Tom in there as a spy, all these different things.
Fitz, I mean, not Fitz, but the fact that Tom was going to shoot Sally Langston, I mean, I'm just speaking from an actor's standpoint, to go 1-2 seasons and only have 1 or 2 lines,
right,
to now being on the 3rd season and you about to kill Sally Langston. Oh, his check is...
That's a come up. Congrats to you.
Is well, he's coming up.
But in terms of the episode...
But why did it have to be him?
Because
you're the head of B613.
I totally agree.
You can send anybody in there.
Mm-hmm.
You should already have operatives in there besides Tom.
But because he's the same one that was giving information to Jake. That's his.
So what?
No,
that's his.
But again, but I totally disagree, because you don't trust him. The difference is I'm going to piggyback off of what Kennelia was saying. You have actually been in B613. You may not have been command, but you've probably worked with someone else that you trust. I don't trust Tom yet. So at the end of the day, like, do I even know he's gonna do it? Like, I'm just literally trusting on the fact that whatever his dossier said, oh, he's a good guy, that now he's gonna shoot the vice president. That's number one. Number two, so when he shoots her, then what?
He's going back to his post?
Right, because he just said, he was like, you need to shoot her before one of the other Secret Service shoots you. So did he put him in there because he's Secret Service and he doesn't look weird, so no one's gonna think he's the one who shot him? Or now that he shoots him, now his cover's blown, or they are in fact gonna shoot him? But more importantly, so how is this good for the Republic?
Right.
So you are going to shoot the Vice President of the United States of America in the middle of a presidential debate?
On national TV.
Right. Because that will make the Americans
Stream
feel
live
safe.
to damn near every country in the world. Because they watch too.
Like, that makes...
None at all.
There were a lot of questions in this episode.
Oh, no.
And my final question is, and this is why I was confused maybe, because when we saw, and this is why I was confused, we saw Command go to shoot Vanessa Chandler and the other girl, and then right before that scene though, and before the monologue when they were doing the flashbacks, we saw he told Quinn, I have a job for you. So I thought maybe Quinn was going to be the one to do it. So I'm just a little confused. Like, what's Quinn's job now? That's my question. What's Quinn's job now?
Quinn went to OPA. She went to Liv's secret safe, and she went to get the information to give to Jake. But something that I mentioned off camera is I thought that, wait, was Huck in this episode today?
He was for a brief second, yeah.
Right. Doesn't Huck stay at OPA?
No, he has that little basement apartment somewhere off in like that other neighborhood.
With Becky?
Okay.
Yeah, you remember Becky. They got
just-
that pretty stuff.
He lives in Northeast.
I would just think that with so much information, the sidetrack car, with all that, why would not there be any security or something for?
Because they're messy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think this is the irony is that, and I can't explain it, and I think it's, again, I really love what Kennelia said in terms of Cyrus possibly being so busy that he literally didn't hear the noise. I think that they're so busy living their extraordinary lives that they still do very normal things to their detriment. The problem is just switching gears a little bit, is that I think that sometimes they don't recognize that they're not normal, right? And I definitely think, and I'm going to jump back to something I think that Emile was going towards, and if this is what you're saying, a prediction, stop me, Emile, is that Cyrus has been unraveling since we met him, right? Because he went from really, truly feeling like he was giving his life over, not to the Republic, but to a guy that he really thought was that guy, right? In this episode, during the mock debate, he sees it again, right? He literally is like, he's back. That's why he's so excited to tell Olivia. And now he sees it all potentially falling away from him. Why? Because of him. And I feel like that scene with James was so important because he was really, I think, confessing again, even in a more vulnerable way than the naked scene in season 2, because he's really saying like, oh my God, like, you're 100% correct. Like, whatever you have to do, like, do, because I've done this and I can't believe that I used you and I basically, in essence, pimped you out for what I thought was the greater good. To me, there has to be a climax to that. So my gut says it has to be James that dies.
All right, Olivia Pope.
He has to feel the consequence of his actions. Because there's one thing, you kill your husband, right? You feel like, okay, I did that. But if James dies from his actions, but he didn't want that to happen, that is going to destroy Cyrus. Or I still feel like Cyrus has to have a heart attack. And I know we had a little episode, but something has to happen to Cyrus. Not
kind of
leaving the
similar
show.
with the. I'll say
okay.
For me in this conversation, I was 50-50. There was moments where I felt sincerity, and then there was also moments where I feel as if when Cyrus was talking to James, it was as if he was literally about to kill him, and that he was blaming himself, yet blaming James, and you're the cause of this.
I got that too.
Yeah.
I felt it was very my last words to you.
To you before I kill you.
I love you and I regret doing this, but at the end of the day, you made me do this. Like, I kind of felt like it was one of those. I'll save it for predictions.
Everybody save it. Everybody save it.
Okay.
I don't want anybody to ruin mine.
Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. So It was a great episode overall. I think the last 2 episodes have been pretty damn amazing, if I may say so myself. And let's go into news and gossip. And news and gossip.
The soundboard hung.
Okay.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right. There we go. Okay. Well, what do we have for news and gossip, guys? Anything?
Just that Darby is going to be on Kimmel tonight, which she already was. It's on right now. As we speak. And it seems like you guys mentioned every week there's another Scandal guest on there. So that's pretty cool. I like the way they're kind of, letting Scandal lead into the late night show. I think it's nice.
And Jimmy Kimmel, Scandal's going into many different aspects now, but Jimmy Kimmel has his Escandalo, which I don't know if you've seen, his Escandalo series now. And then we have the Scandal spoof that was on SNL, which is the first time that Scandal was spoofed from SNL. And we have... I'm going to pronounce her name, Sashir Zamata, who I think did a great job, and it's nice to see that we can finally have that character being played because we have a black woman on the cast now. And maybe that's why it took so long for them to do something like Scandal on SNL. But it was actually pretty funny. And what's her name? Lena Dunham from Girls. I thought it was hilarious. Like, it was just really funny. Like, because when we watched the episode, we're analyzing this show and we don't really go into the questions, but the way she was asking, like, I need you to hop a flight to this and blah, blah. Okay, well, what did she say? She was like, so what time I get there? Should I bring a swimsuit in case I have a pool?
Like, I just got back. And it's just like, what? Yeah.
It was funny. So it's nice to see a spin on the show, and I really enjoyed that.
And I wonder, though, if they wrote that specifically for Lena, because I see her, Shonda retweets Lena's tweets, and Lena tweets about Scandal all the time.
Really?
Yeah, she's an actual fan. So I wonder if they did that on purpose.
It was actually good to see her Lena out of character too, because there are some actors who get on SNL and you can't really picture them as anything else besides whatever character they're playing or roles they play. But for her, every single role she did was in line, especially the one for Scandal. But the last thing, unless you guys have something else for news and gossip, I just want to highlight, because we were cracking up at this comment on YouTube. This is from JTray06, and he said, the little shade and facial expressions adds that must-watch aspect. It's really a key how someone will say something and the next person rolls their eyes. I live. You can't just listen. You have to watch. So we were cracking up. I don't know if J-Tray is a female in the profile pic, but I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but we were cracking up at that comment, and we do read your comment, so just know that, and you may have us read it online. But that was hilarious. Thank you for posting that. And let's go into predictions.
Why don't you start, Emile?
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
That sounds different. Okay, so my prediction, I think, and this, I'm excited because I never have a prediction. I think that, like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, when Jake was talking, I think he was talking to somebody, and I believe that it was possibly James. And when Cyrus had that moment with James in the room, maybe James is involved with B613 now, and James does something to Cyrus, because I think it just ended too abruptly, where we go from Cyrus having this deep impassioned speech, and then all of a sudden James is outside saying, oh, I don't want to go through this anymore. I actually just want to tend to my crying husband and make sure everything's like. I just felt it was a little out of character, even though James is a person who doesn't always think things through and can be a little quick. I think that was a little too quick. The way all of a sudden he was on board saying, oh, now all of a sudden I want to be with Cyrus and help him out, even though. So that's just, something's a little off about that. And then, yeah, that's the only one I have.
I really like that.
I'm going to predict that Jake didn't shoot either James or David, that there was someone else there that he paused and then shot the other person, maybe sent there to kill them as well, or maybe sent there for some other reason. But if some pedestrian, whoever, not pedestrian, but some other assassin, hopefully Charlie, was sent there, I think Jake probably shot that person and not James and David. And I say this because in the previews, and you can't really base much off this, but when Olivia was like, we have to find who did it, she wasn't distraught, she wasn't crying. If it was David, she would have felt bad about herself, and she would have felt some type of way because she probably could have stepped up and helped him, so she wasn't emotional. If James, she has a connection with James, she's their baby's godmother. She didn't seem sad, she didn't seem that hurt.
True.
She seemed like she wanted to figure out what happened, but I just think if it was either or, she would be a little more emotional about it. I hope. So that's my prediction.
My prediction is more of a, it has to be one of them, because if it isn't, that OMG was whack. Yeah. No, I'm being serious.
Womp
no,
womp.
no. I mean, so you killed Vanessa and the other chick whose name I can't even remember. Like, get over yourself. No, see, I mean, I'm being serious. So to me, it has to be one of those.
What is her name?
Or else it was a big buildup for nothing. And of the two of them, I really think that it and even though I probably said the exact opposite thing 2 minutes ago, it would have to be David, because otherwise that scene with Abby would be a wasted scene.
True.
The scene that she basically, you know, the last episode said, I love you, said it again, and we've never seen Abby get that emotional without snarkiness.
Right.
Like she really, like he was like, oh, that's hot. Like, oh, you love me. Oh, you're scared. You're really scared. Oh my God, it's hot. She's like, no, it's not funny. And she got out of bed and she's like, it's not fair to me. Given the nature of the world that we live in, that she was actually that scared, why is that scene there?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my prediction that it has to be David. But I do agree that there are some twists, that there's someone else in the scene.
I'm a little torn because, Emile, what you say about why it could potentially be James does make sense, because there were two really very sad moments for Cyrus and James where it could have gave the illusion, and then there was also on Abby. So smart writing on the writers team to make it now be a whole tweak for a week, whether if it's going to be David or if it's going to be James. So right now I'm at 33%, because then my other 33% is I think there possibly could be someone else in the picture where, you know, the shot that we see, that shot could be the same shot when it was a shot to the girl or something, or it could just be very tricky. So it could be a shot that's shot somewhere else because it hits the air. So I'm gonna say 33% for James, 33% for David, and 33% for, I don't know.
I like it. Well, guys, let us know what you think. We didn't even mention this. Make sure you go to iTunes, like, comment, rate, subscribe, tell a friend about our podcast, download it. Also, we're on YouTube. If you don't know, as I read that comment, you have to watch, because when you watch, we make faces, and he lives. But
we live for comments.
We do. Thank you guys so much for joining us again. I'm sorry about my voice right now. But where can we find you guys on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Sofia Stanley.
Bamm Ericsen.
At Kennelia, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
And at Emile Ennis Jr. on everything, and Chasing LA on YouTube. Guys, as always, it's a pleasure. We will see you here same time next week, and hopefully we can find out who got shot.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.